Megaman Starforce 2, the awkward middle child of the series. The writing shifts to a different tone from the first game, an encounter rate higher than the price for RAM sticks in 2026, and tedious world navigation were among some of its criticisms. We're not going to talk about that though. We're here for one reason and one reason only: the post-game. Unlike the first Starforce, the post-game here does have a story, and boy, it takes a surprisingly dark turn. The post-game offers more content to chew on this time around, albeit I wasn't too keen on all the traveling I had to do to obtain everything. But with the power of editing, you guys don't have to see all of that. Let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it. After settling our beef with Lemu, we return to our home to finally get some rest and relax. Oh, what is it now? We check our email and find a very ominous message from an anonymous sender. Yo, we heard you were a tough guy. We wanted to welcome you to the Salty Spittoon. But first, you gotta get something for us that will totally not cause your world to go into ruin. He sounds like a trustworthy guy, so we respond with, I bet. But not right now. I got some errands to run. Firstly, we need to search for battle cards to complete our library. And for this one, it was gonna take a while. When I beat the main story, I had less than half the standard cards registered. As if that wasn't bad enough, I had less than a quarter of all the mega cards obtained. The reason for this is because the game never gave you rewards whenever you defeated bosses during the story, so I was missing a disgusting chunk of mega cards, and the only way I could obtain them was by defeating the EX and SP bosses multiple times. Thankfully, the Cloaker this time works very much like the sneak runs from Battle Network 6, making bosses a lot easier to find. However, first we'll need to gather useful standard cards to add to our arsenal, otherwise we won't have an easy time dealing with these guys. Making their returns are Volta Guy and Sticky Rain. Skill Ray! And we all know how strong those cards were in the first title. They also added some neat new cards like Dance Fire and Paralyze Stage, which I found to be incredibly useful for some of these fights. I booted up the virus tracker website and it was grind time. While grinding, I ran into a slight problem. Just a teensy, small, tiny little problem. Two of the battle cards are exclusively obtained through green mystery data. Have we not learned from Battle Network? I still have memories of trying to get Airshot 2 in Battle Network 3 Blue. That was not a fun time, and this brought me back to those times. Regardless, I wasn't gonna let this deter me from my goal, so I just wave changed over and over until I found them. It took me about an hour and a half of just going through those mystery datas, getting Zennies. Eventually, I reached that point where I had most of the tier 1s and 2s of the battle cards, but that wasn't gonna be enough if I wanted to obtain the EX and SP mega cards comfortably. I had to get my hands on some of those tier 3 cards, and for that, we'll need to enter the post-game dungeon. To access the dungeon, we must first make our way to Vega's hideout, as indicated by the message. There, a floating globe, or as it's called in the game, alternate future, will be waiting for us. Pretty strange name for an item. With the item in our possession, we return to Echo Ridge and our gateway to this new dungeon will now open. Alright, it's time for us to make our way to this new area. Man, I hope this new area has affordable RAM sticks. Who turned down the saturation? We arrived to our destination and we can see that it looks kind of familiar to our home, but we got no time to think about that as we are greeted by a Mr. Hertz. Hey, what's up Mr. Hertz? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, whoa, what's going on here? No time to think or take in the sights, we are immediately thrown into a battle with Taurus Fire, or Taurus Fire If, which should be a very big indicator that this is not our Taurus. I'll elaborate more on them shortly, but for now we quickly dispose of Taurus without any hiccups. Afterwards, we finally grasp the nature of this place. A disastrous alternate version of Geo's world. This is the reality where Lemu's awakening was successful, leading to the catastrophic loss of link power and making the precursor to ruin unavoidable. To make matters worse, an EM being by the name of Apollo Flame wants to break into Megaman's world and replicate the same tragedy. The item we picked in the hideout was a key that bridged both worlds, and now it's up to us to prevent this tragedy from happening again. Thankfully, Apollo Flame is not at full strength, giving us time to stop him before he initiates his plan. This took a dark turn real quick. Geo's friends and family are all dead, humanity is practically extinct, the world is ruled by beings designed solely for destruction. This legit might be top 3 darkest moments in the Mega Man franchise, and this is taking into account the Zero series. Between the two timelines, the Battle Network / Starforce continuity is often regarded as the good timeline. I mean, what would you pick? A future with robots that eventually go haywire leading to a catastrophic war, or the internet? And it's this contrast that makes this scenario intriguing to me. We've already witnessed an apocalyptic event in the original timeline, but how would such an event unfold in this reality? Although I do think it comes out of left field, introducing dimensional traveling was certainly an odd choice to present this scenario, like it just happens. Then again, time traveling is also a thing, so I guess anything goes in this timeline. Anyways, we carry on to the next area called the Trans Dimension, where we are eventually confronted by the 5-time Golden Raspberry Award winner, Dark Phantom. Now, I think it's the best time to explain what the ifs are. The if bosses are recreations of the enemies we fought throughout the game, meaning they are entirely separate characters from the ones we know. They've all sworn loyalty to Apollo Flame and help him further his goals, which means we have to defeat them. The if versions are the strongest iterations of the bosses, if we don't count the DX ones, that is. At this point, I was still lacking most of the Mega cards, so I didn't have a lot of strong options aside from relying on Tribe King. Still, we don't receive any rewards from defeating them, so we don't have to worry too much on our performance. We can take this as practice before tackling the SP fights while also grinding tier 3 cards. That way we can have a better time dealing with the SP bosses. Before I go into further detail on the fights, I want to preface by saying that I will only bring up bosses unique to this game, not those recycled from Starforce 1. I've already talked about them in the Starforce postgame video, so if you want to know my thoughts about them, just watch that video, they all play the same here. I will say that Cancer Bubble and Gemini Spark return as field bosses. You can talk to Pat after completing the main story in Wasap Ruins, then you can find Gemini Spark in Wasap Ruins too. This section is also covering both the SP and IF versions at the same time. There really isn't any major differences between them, and that way we won't have to drag the video any longer than necessary. So, let's get started. Dark Phantom is a pretty tricky boss to fight, very true to his personality. His attacks consist of a Sword Slash, a Phantom Slash, and the Phantom Claw. The first two attacks are blockable, but the Claw has the unique property of having Break and piercing invisibility. I was having a rough time here with the if version. I was at 1 HP and I was actively looking to not get hit with this claw attack. As much as I don't like the character, I found the fights to be really fun. Plessio's Surf is probably the boss I hate the most in the series, mainly because of its gimmick, which is a shame because I do like his design. The rocks in the battlefield are extremely disruptive, making it a challenge to find an opening because you have to bait Plessio in an open column while not getting hit by its lightning beam. Electric type cards are effective against them, and I found having cards that can help clear the rocks or bypass them to be really useful. Thankfully, he has the weakness of being too telegraphed, making it easy to counter hit him. I love how unique Terra Condor is. You have to destroy his wings to prevent him from using his laser, while also avoiding his barrage of missiles. The order in which the missiles appear is the order in which they launch, so I had to pay close attention to that. Fire element attacks are effective, and since I was running Saurian, Dance Fire made quick work of his wings. Yeti Blizzard is pretty simple. Every jump causes snowballs to fall on the battlefield, so I had to pay close attention to the panels. The avalanche is something I also had to watch out for. There are a variety of ways to handle this attack. If your buster is strong enough, you can likely brute force your way out of the attack, or you can block the whole thing if you time it just right. I did none of those things. I did not know the timings, and I was running card finders, so I had to rely on defensive cards to circumvent them. Regardless, it wasn't a tough fight. Hollow's whole gimmick is spawning viruses that are super effective against your tribe form. Having a battle card that changes the battlefield shuts down that gimmick entirely and makes this fight fairly easy. Just have to be careful not to mistime my attacks and hit his electric barrier. For Kung Fu Kid, I had Saurian. I win. Okay, for real though, this guy is quick on his feet. True to the name, he likes to attack in close quarters, so it was just a matter of waiting and reacting. Fire element battle cards are the way to go in this fight. Dance Fire Supremacy just completely covers a good amount of space, it's super effective against him, and you want to remove those grass tiles because he can power up if they are on the field. Also, just to get this out of the way because there were comments in my previous video that brought this up, the damage from the SP Mega cards depends on the time you finish the fight. If you can beat the SP bosses under a certain time, you can max out the damage for the SP cards. For Starforce 1, it was 10 seconds, and I'm pretty sure the time is the same same with this game. I do know this has been a reoccurring thing since the Battle Network series, and I didn't bring this up because technically it's not a requirement to complete the post-game. Now, how do you defeat them in under 10 seconds, you ask? You get a God Hand or a high damage legend card. If any Starforce heads got any advice or want to expand on this, they are welcome to share it in the comments. In addition, the records for SP bosses are shared among brother bands, so the brother with the lowest time will determine the damage of your SP card. The ifs are now out of the way, which means that the wave hole is now unsealed and we can move on to the next area. However, we are immediately greeted by... Damn, this guy brought the whole squad with him. General Auriga is Apollo's right-hand man, and a boss exclusive to the post-game. Like the bosses from Starforce 1, his name came from a constellation that symbolizes the charioteer. According to Greek mythology, it is said that this constellation represents the king Erectonius, a king who was credited as the inventor of the quadriga, a 4-horse chariot. A chariot, you say? His attacks are very faithful to his design, using his minions in various ways. One attack has him slowly closing in on you with his minions covering his sides. If you have a strong buster equipped, you can easily take care of them. Again, I was using Card Finder. Not really good when it comes to breaking those defenses. Another attack to look out for is when he sends a swarm of soldiers at you. There's a rhythm to it, but it happens so suddenly that it can catch you off guard if you're not expecting it. Despite that, we easily dispose of him. Before he gets destroyed, he leaves us some parting words, telling us that there's still trials ahead of us. My guy, I am the trial. With that, we go on to the next destination. Transdimension 2 is the last area, and it's here where we'll find a lot of locked doors. 3 things are stopping us from reaching Apollo: Kung Fu Kid if, Hollow if, and the completion of our standard library. A lot of the tier 3 cards we're missing are obtainable here, so we can grind standard cards while we take care of the last of Apollo's henchmen. Our first obstacle is Kung Fu Kid. Like I stated earlier, I had a pretty good matchup against him with Saurian form. I was pretty close to beating him, but then the worst case scenario happened. My controller disconnected. I'm doing fairly decent in this fight. Oh god. What? My controller? My controller? No! No, my controller! Anyways, we move on. I opened one of the locked doors and managed to net myself 100,000 zennies, which we're gonna use to get one of the Giga cards later. We're gonna go broke real quick, don't you worry. We then meet Hollow If, the last boss standing in our way. He proclaims that it will be impossible to get to Apollo and will stop us here. Alright, bet. We're talking mad trash, what happened? With all the If warriors defeated, the only thing that remains is completing the standard library. Unfortunately, I missed some tier 2 cards, so I needed to do some backtracking, and well, backtracking in this game is the most annoying aspect due to the extensive traversal required. But in the end, it was all worth it, and I was now fully prepared for the mega card grind. With improved battle cards and having cleared the If bosses, the process of collecting mega cards became much smoother than I anticipated. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I just can't put my finger on it. Nah, it can't be that important. Eventually, I managed to get all the standard cards and all the mega cards I could get till this point. Now it's time to make short work of Apollo Flame. As the name implies, Apollo Flame takes some inspiration from Greek mythology's Apollo, who in some adaptations is interpreted as a sun god, which seems to be a trait they took judging from Apollo Flame's appearance. The fight itself is very challenging. He has a barrier that protects him from attacks and can regenerate very quickly. When you destroy it, you have about 2 seconds before it comes back, so I had to make those openings count. The buster is really good to chip away at it. Again, I was running Card Finder, and well, you know. He has fire geysers that attack you periodically, acting almost like a passive attack, very similar to how it works with Nebula Gray. It's one of those moves that demanded constant attention, otherwise I would get hit frequently. He can shoot fire tornadoes covering all the columns, and the order in which they launch is random, so I had to be on point with my reactions. And then, there's his solar flare attack. Very much the hardest attack to avoid. I found that you can bait him to target either side to be the way to avoid that move. If he targets the center, well, you can't really block it because it's a break move. The options would be to either have a defensive battle card or to interrupt him out of it. But since I didn't have a proper grip of his attack timings, that was just not going to happen anytime soon. For the first version of this fight, it does a decent job showing how his moves work. Unfortunately, we don't get a reward after this fight, so yeah, we're going to have to come back a couple of times to get our grubby hands on those mega cards. And Upard Spirit shows up and congratulates us for a job well done, and awards us the Tribe Badge as a sign that we've beaten Apollo Flame. It's not over just yet though. We have to rematch Apollo Flame a minimum of 3 times to obtain all of the Mega cards, which means every time we defeat him, we have to pulse out. That's certainly not gonna get tiring. Since we defeated all the EM beings of this dimension, we can unlock one of the doors that holds a Giga card. For the remaining ones, there's one we can buy from the merchant in Trans Dimension 1 and another in Big Way. The last one is given to us by the GOAT, Legendary Master Shin. With it, we now have all of the Giga cards. Only 2 star badges remain. All we gotta do is beat Apollo Flame 3 times to get his Mega cards. Oh, and also Auriga. I forgot about him. In all honesty, I struggled to get Apollo's EX card more than his SP. I managed to get his SP on my first try fighting his final version. I did have to tweak my folder a little bit to carry more Aqua Element attacks, and I got really lucky with my first draw. The Super Armor was also instrumental in helping me maintain that S rank. Saurian Form just coming in clutch in this fight. Saurian Form is just that goated. Now, we have finally obtained all of the Mega cards, which means to fully complete this post-game, only 1 star badge remains, and we'll have to defeat another strong opponent to obtain it. Lamu returns stronger and tankier than ever. Now known as Lamusha, its attacks become stronger and harder to avoid. Now it does say it has 4000 HP, but in totality, it has 5200 HP. This is because you have to do 1200 damage to the shell in order to activate its second phase. This fight makes Andromeda look slow by comparison. There's a lot of moving components that you have to keep track of, like black holes that can invade your panels or the Mu Warriors that materialize in front of you, which by the way, can completely take you out of your tribe form if you get hit with the element that's weak to you. And this is without going into Lamusha's own attacks. Its patterns in the first phase are very similar to Andromeda's, in which starts with the same 2 attacks, then goes for a different move in its third attack. It'll start with 2 drills that hone in on you. They're not blockable, so I had to pay close attention and time my dodges. It sounds really simple, but the drills go so fast I was struggling with the timings. For its third attack, it transforms its arms into Vulcans, unleashing multiple shots at your tiles. At first, I was stumped because I didn't know how to dodge this properly. I thought this was like base, where the timing was super tight and almost impossible to avoid, necessitating the use of defensive cards, but then I remembered that shield cancel is a thing. Whenever my shield got hit, I would cancel out of it with the Buster, which had just enough low recovery time for me to set up another shield, and it made dealing with the Vulcans a lot easier. To be honest, I didn't have a concrete plan on how to tackle this boss fight, so I did die multiple times, but for every defeat, I gradually began to understand its attacks and started formulating a game plan. My plan later was to use the Buster, the BM Blaster to be specific, and use it to chip away its shell as much as I could. If I had cards that would deal good burst of damage, I would use them. Generally, I want to keep cards like Sticky Rain for the second phase, since those will be instrumental to the plan. The real battle starts once that shell is destroyed. Phase 2 is when Lamusha finally decides to stop being a couch potato and starts moving around. Its drill attack gets an upgrade, now shooting 4 drills instead of 2, as well as adding new attacks to its arsenal, such as transforming its arms into blades that cover 2 adjacent columns in each side of the field, as well as a laser beam. We love laser beams around these parts. Only this laser beam is very difficult to circumvent because you have to time your guard at just the right time to fully block it. If you mistime it, you'll still receive some damage. Not ideal if you're really low on HP. Figuring out when Lamusha is going to attack is pretty simple. It moves from side to side, and the second time it goes to the middle, that's when it'll attack, making it really easy to track its subsequent attacks while letting me focus on avoiding the black holes and myriads. My plan was simple. Sticky Rain, counter hit, profit. Sticky Rain makes this phase almost trivial. The counter hit timings are so generous that you might as well just mod in a skip fight option. The only time I missed a counter was with the laser beam, since it delays the counter hit timing significantly, and it did throw me off the first time. The plan was effective. I managed to take down Lamusha with Saurian's Big Bang. Quite a fitting end if you ask me. Lamusha was a really fun fight. It's relatively challenging, and I found it to be more interesting than Andromeda. It feels like they got out of their comfort zones and experimented a little bit with the new bosses. They feel way more challenging in this game than the ones from Starforce 1. With that victory in the bag, the credits roll, and we now secured ourselves all of the star badges, which should mark the ending of the post-game. Wait, where's my congratulations? What's going on here? New mail? What? Solo? What else is there to do? He's right behind me, isn't he? You guys didn't think I forgot about Rogue, did you? Come on, I was leaving the best for last. Give me some credit. Solo has challenged us to a battle, but to earn the chance to fight him, we must maximize the link power of Gio's brother bands. This is achieved by completing the side quest given to us by Gio's friends. Zack's quest will send you to Loch Ness 1 ER, where you have to pulse into the sunken ship. There you'll find a group of viruses waiting for you. Get ready to battle 10 times in a row without catching any breaks. When that's done, you can go back to Zack to complete the quest. Sonya's is pretty easy, you simply have to pick the right lyrics that go along with hers. Bud's is also pretty easy. You have to go into his house as Megaman and defeat Taurus Fire SP. Luna will send you on a fetch quest to find ingredients. First, you have to go to WhatsApp to find bananas, then you have to deliver them to Luna. She'll then want you to search for coconuts. You'll find them on Grizzly Peaks by interacting with the trees in front of the hotel. You go back to Luna again, and lastly, she asks for a recipe. Girl, can't you just look it up on the internet? We go to Gio's mother to give us the recipe, and we deliver it to Luna, which will finally complete the quest. Now with our link power maxed out, we're ready to take on Solo. To trigger the battle, we have to defeat Lamusha again. The credits will play, but our encounter with Solo goes far differently this time. It's time for the final battle, as our ideologies are being put to the test. Rogue is determined to prove that link power is worthless. Also, what a nice guy, giving us time to prepare. Our folder is set up and our abilities are equipped. Now let's do this. Rogue as X is the hardest challenge this game will throw at you. I can assure you, nothing will properly prepare you for what this demon can do. He has float shoes, super armor, and an invisible barrier that regenerates every couple of steps he takes, making it really difficult to get combos on him. Thankfully, the barrier only has 1 HP, making the Buster an essential tool to break it. This guy is insanely fast, and at times, unpredictable. I was trying to pay close attention to the types of attacks he'd go for, but he's so quick that at times, it made me question whether there were any openings at all. And if that isn't enough to increase the tension, his attacks do an insane amount of damage. I had a decent start, but it didn't take long before things started going downhill. The struggle was real. I thought his SP version was bad. That version does not hold a candle to this one, I can tell you that much. Rogue has 2 phases. In the first phase, he carries a more brawler style of fighting, closing in to strike you with a barrage of punches and kicks. Sometimes he throws in a wave projectile to combo with his punches. I didn't find a reliable way to determine when he does this, I just had to anticipate. For his final attack, he swarms you with projectiles in the shape of fists. All of these attacks are blockable, but I didn't find myself blocking as much because of how overwhelming it felt just trying to keep up with him. And it was only going to get worse from here. This is where the fight starts to become a shit show. My guy summons a sword out of thin air and said, "Take a look at this." His entire moveset changes to acclimate with his new weapon. The sword slash is very similar to Rogue's close combat punches, only this is much harder to react to and anticipate. He goes at you with multiple strikes and can mix up his patterns with either a projectile slash or a break attack in the middle. If you don't have super armor and you get hit with this move, you're cooked. Trust me, I speak from experience. Now I know that I sound hyperbolic and made this fight sound like a method of torture for prisoners. Listen, the fight itself is not that bad. What happens after you lose the fight is what increases my blood pressure. If you lose this fight, you will be sent back to your save file before you fight Lamusha. For you to get the rematch, you have to defeat Lamusha again and watch the credits again. Yeah. With that knowledge on the table, the stakes are now higher, and it was at this point where I had to reevaluate how I want to approach this battle, which also meant that I had to make changes to my folder. This is precisely the shit I love about these games. I have to get out of my comfort zone and experiment with different cards? I'm all for it. Sometimes extreme changes aren't even required. Maybe small tweaks are enough to alter the dynamic of a battle. Obviously, this game is more action-oriented. All of this will still depend on whether I can react in the right moments. My strategy now relied on 2 battle cards, Mad Vulcan 3 and Paralyzed Stage. I would try to anticipate the timing of his next attack and use the Vulcans preemptively to get a counter hit, and it worked a lot better than I expected, and ended up being more reliable than the sticky rains. But I couldn't rely on just that, couldn't I? That's why I also added more Paralyzed Stages. If I managed to land a straight hit, it would give me an easy opening for combos. This in tandem with a card that covers multiple tiles is a really strong combination. I would save the Tribe King whenever I was close to entering the second phase, as I did not want to run the risk of losing my Tribe form form and super armor mid-fight, and I really needed that damage boost to nuke this guy. I do not want to deal with that second phase any longer than I have to. Some people consider Paralyzed Stage a cheese strat, and to that I say, I don't care! When the risks are this damn high, I will use any tool at my disposal to secure that win. I was later given the hand that will determine Rogue's absolute demise. This combined with the Tribe King gave me enough power to completely erase this guy from the timeline.
Take this! Cut!
We deleted him into next week.
The battle is over, but Solo keeps his stance on Link power, proclaiming that he doesn't need it and that someday he will defeat us. Geo and Omegasis are undeterred, and after what they've seen in the alternate future, it only strengthens and reaffirms their beliefs in Link power, and that marks the end of the postgame. And that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now, I know there's some extra stuff you can do in the post-game that I didn't mention, like gathering the indie fragments to get Mega Man Rogue form and the whole DX Super Bosses thing, but just like I said when explaining the whole SP thing, it's not necessary to do all of that if you want to get all the star badges, and these videos are mostly just documenting my journey playing through these post-games while adding some of my thought process and maybe adding extra information I didn't know when playing it at the time. Now, only one game remains, and this video is probably gonna take a bit to get done. Starforce 3 post-game does not play around, so I hope you guys look forward to that video. I want to give shoutouts to CBD Heal for being the first ever channel member. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the support. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Helps out a lot. If you guys like the content, please subscribe. Helps out a lot too. And if you guys have any thoughts about the Starforce 2 post-game, then let me know in the comments. Or if you guys have any thoughts about the video, let me know in the comments too. With that, I'll see y'all in the next one. Hope y'all take care and have yourselves a good one. Peace out.
Ready? Congratulations!
Way to go!
Well done!